Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. This is your podcast host, Steve Ramona, and this is going to be a cool episode for me. I'm an ex-football player in high school, junior college, and we're going to talk about things that people talk about with sports and especially football that bring panic to people. And my guest here is, God, I think an incredible answer to that. Dr. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be here.
So what compelled you to invent this Power Plus mouthguard?
Well, it's more or less fell out of the sky. I was treating people with a disorder called TMJ, which is headaches and migraines and pain in the jaw, and has been around for about 50 years, but there was really no definitive treatment. And I changed the way I looked at it. And when I was curing these people from TMJ, which is thought to be not curable, they would come back and tell me that they felt stronger. They had more stamina. They didn't feel like they needed to take a nap in the afternoon, and wanted to know what that was all about. And I didn't really know at the time, but it was very intriguing to me. I grew up in a sports family. I played 3 high school sports. My dad was an exercise physiologist. And I just thought, wow, if I could make Mrs. Jones stronger, what would happen if I took the 0-9 Lions and made them stronger, end up in the Super Bowl? I'd be a genius. So I started looking into what was out there, because I just knew that something like that had to have been discovered, and there wasn't really anything. There was some articles, like in 1980, there was an article in Sports Illustrated that said that the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl is because a doctor made them a mouth guard, and they just started playing better. They were 0-3, and they ended up in the Super Bowl. And so I wanted to know what that was all about, and so I started to do a little bit more research, and come to find out it was a true body mechanism that is called physiologic jaw position. And when your jaw's in that physiologic jaw position, you get 100% neurological information to your muscles. So all of your muscle fibers are contracting, and you increase your strength. This was proven in 2009 by Wayne State University, when they tested my design for a physiologic jaw positioning mouthguard. They showed a 17% increase in strength. I really started this in 1999, 2000. And I just started testing it and see what would happen. An interesting story is that there was a local celebrity here in Traverse City, Michigan, who was the police chief and the fire chief, and he was 65 years old, and his hobby was bench pressing. And he got himself on the USA powerlifting team in the category of 65 years and older. And he won a national championship by lifting 398 pounds, most he'd ever lifted. And they wrote an article about him. And he said, well, my goal is to go to Prague and represent the United States in the international competition. And I want to break the world record, which is 435. Wow. I've never lifted that much weight in my life. But I'm going to work really hard for the next 6 weeks. I didn't know him, but I just looked in the phone book and I called him up, and out of sheer faith on my part, I said, I can get you a world record. I didn't know if I could or not, but I just knew that people were stronger when they had their jaw in this position. And sure enough, long story short, he came over. I made him a mouth guard in his physiologic jaw position. He went off to his daily lifting session, and at 5 o'clock that afternoon, he called me, and with just an incoherent, he was so excited I had to call him back, and he went off on me again. I said, slow down, I can't understand you. And he lifted 455 pounds and got kind of scared because he thought he was going to hurt himself, but he said, I could do more. I could do way more. And so sure enough, he went to Prague, broke the world record, and held it for 10 years. And at that point, I knew that there was something to this physiologic jaw position. I didn't know about concussions yet or anything like that. We'll talk about that as well. But one thing that came into light is that we're not using all of the strength that we have in our bodies because of the way our teeth fit together, and that disrupts nerve information to each muscle fiber. And some of them aren't doing anything because they're not told to do anything by this blockage. So if you open those channels up, you immediately increase your strength on the average of 17%. And this is how I got started in developing and inventing this new technology and this new type of mouth appliance.
Where were you 20 years ago? 30 years ago? I owned, my family owned a health club. I managed it. I could probably sold a million of those, because it's interesting to me. Nobody would say your mouth tied to strength. And you found that out just by developing this.
I found it out just by trying to solve temporal mandibular joint syndrome. And it just became a result of taking the pain away from these people and putting their jaw in a more comfortable position. And naturally, I just applied it to sports. Because of my background with my father at Iowa State University, we had season tickets to every game, and we went to most of the games, and we were really into sports. And I just naturally thought, well, man, if I can make these people stronger, what would happen if I took a pro athlete and turned him into, Hulk Hogan? That'd be amazing. And that's really kind of what happened.
So it's interesting being an inventor. A lot of people probably listening, we all thought of, hey, I'd like to invent this, or we get these not crazy, but creative ideas of developing something. Was it too hard, or what, when you did this invention, was it hard for you to start this?
Well, it wasn't really hard per se to start it, because to me, I was just inspired by this new thing that I'd never seen before, I never heard before. And as I read articles about it, it was amazing to me that nobody had thought of it. There was other articles where, for example, one intriguing article to me was done at Notre Dame, where they took 40 football players and used an appliance that they called at the time in 1983 a MORA, which stands for mandibular repositioning appliance. It was all anecdotal. They didn't know the technology about it. They didn't know, the specs and all that. They just knew that if you put a mouth guard on the lower teeth, it seemed to have some benefit. And so the article said the three important things that a MORA will do is increase your strength, increase your stamina. Because of the strength, you'll stay in the game longer. And the most intriguing thing to me was less knee injuries, which I know now as better balance, correct function of each muscle in their proper direction, protects your skeleton and balances out the forces that are applied. And so back then they didn't know that, but these things seemed to build up. And so I just had to know for myself what this was all about, and just started networking and getting results. And every time I applied the technology, I got just fantastic results from it. And every time it's been put to the test, it's always come out great. So it just built upon that as time went on, as the years from 2000 to 2009. That was the first monumental step in this discovery of increase in strength. And when I started to apply that, right about that time, concussions were kind of becoming a big thing, and that there were just so many, and it's hard to solve, and people were suffering. And I did another study on that with my son's football team, because I wanted to get strength information. The reason why I wanted that is because I was asked to go to the Seattle Mariners training camp, and the guy that he was a AAA coach, and he thought this was great, and he just brought me down there, and shoved me into the team doctor's office without telling him, and he was kind of mad at him about that, and he just didn't give me the time of day. And he asked me one question that changed everything, and he said, "Where's your data?" And I didn't have any. So
Okay.
I learned I have to have data. So I came back and went to my son's football coach and said, "I need strength data. So I want to make the kids a mouth appliance, and I want to study them." And a friend of mine was an orthodontist at the Catholic school, and his boys played. So he said, "Well, let's throw those guys in there too." And so for 6 years, I made mouth guards for those two schools. And the Catholic school went on to win 5 state championships in a row. And my son's teams had 3 undefeated seasons. But the thing that came out of that was not one of the 100 boys had a concussion, not one in 6
Now,
years.
in 6 years, not one.
Not one. And that was just, that blew my mind, that because I knew the concussion rate was about 20%. So there, out of the 50 boys on the team, there should have been 10 or 15, and they every year, and they didn't have any for 6 years. So that changed the whole game. And so it's just been a kind of an evolution in discovery of what physiologic jaw position can do.
And your inspiration, as I'm listening to you, Dr. Michael, is you are serving people because you found a way to help them. This guy gets stronger, the TMJ, the after effect was getting stronger. You're like, hey, I can serve more people, right?
Absolutely. And, going back to the origin of this, my son was playing football. I was his Pop Warner coach along with some other dads. And I just didn't want him to have a concussion. I didn't want him to get hurt. I didn't want him to be injured in any way. And so I, of course, made him the technology that I knew. And he never had a concussion from 5th grade through senior year. And he was actually invited to play rugby at D1 University. And he wanted to do it, but he just said to me finally, he said, I don't want to go get beat up and injured for no reason. I want to be a doctor, and I don't want to go there and blow my knee out, or have a brain injury or something like that, just so I can play college rugby. And so he chose to not do that. And that year, the university that he was invited to won the national championship. So he had a moment of kicking himself, but then now he's in his 5th year of urology residency, and has never had a brain injury, never had any injury of any kind, and he's thankful for it. And so the point I had was, I wanted my son to be safe, but knowing what I knew, I just couldn't stand the fact that there's these kids going out and playing their sport and getting injured when there was no reason to do that. I mean, there was technology available, and they weren't using it, and they didn't understand it. And that's a whole aspect that we should talk about.
Yeah, no, and the movie with Will Smith, the documentary became a movie about concussions, and I forget the brain injury that pro athletes are getting. So the domino effect of this is wearing this while playing football, no concussions for 100 kids, which means they're not going to lead down the path of I forget what's the what do they call that disease, the brain disease they get from concussions?
TBI or CTE.
CTE, thank you. So you're really helping that problem, because I'm not getting concussions. CTE is not down the road for my life, right?
Right. And it can be one time. I have a very good close friend whose son got a concussion, one concussion, and he went from a model student, straight A student, to always getting in trouble, can't control himself, always having making bad choices. One time, one concussion. So you never know how your body is going to react and heal. And so we should be doing everything possible to mitigate this concussions. I don't believe in stop playing the sport, which is the only way you're going to stop a concussion, is stop doing anything that can happen to you, including stepping out on your front porch and falling on your face. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
Have
the
you
only
lost?
way you're going to stop a
Yeah.
concussion is not play. But we're not doing enough. Uh, you know, 10,800 concussions are going to happen today. And we've changed the helmets so many times. We've done all these things, and we still get the same results after 5 decades. Still get the same amount of concussions. And it's because I believe, and I've proven, that there's a certain percentage of concussions that come from impacts to your jaw. You know, if I want to knock you out and give you a concussion, how would I do that? I'd punch you in the lower jaw.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tyson proved that.
Yeah.
But yet we ignore that. We don't even think about that. We put it in football, we put a chin strap on your chin to hold your helmet on, and we tighten it up so it shoves it back up against your skull. And then we go out there and play and hit each other, and then we wonder why we get concussions. It's because we're not protecting the jaw. In all other sports, soccer, girls basketball, boys basketball, hockey, field hockey, cheerleading, all have high, softball, baseball have high concussion rates, because we're not protecting this part of the skull, and we just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah. The old crazy quote. You're crazy. So the mouth
Insanity is the
guard.
definition.
Yeah, thank you. I always forget that. So is the mouth guard, I watch a lot of football, people out here, sports. There's all these different mouth guards. Is yours similar looking like that? Does it fit the same, or is it something we have to get used to when I use it?
It's the most comfortable way to wear a mouth appliance because it goes on the lower teeth, not the upper teeth. So you get these benefits. You get increased strength, you get increased stamina, you get better balance, you get increased oxygen intake because it's on your lower teeth. There's no obstruction. You can talk normally, and it positions your jaw and your joint in the central most part of the joint, so that when you get a blow to the head, it doesn't translate those G forces to your skull. If your jaw is too far open, it's gonna roll your jaw joint up to the front of the skull, and that is a conduit to your brain with the G forces. If your jaw is over closed, it's going to roll back and touch the back of it, and again, a conduit to your brain with that G force that causes concussions. Right in the center is where it should be, and that's a particular unique position for you and you only. Now here's the difference. All mouth guards on the market were invented in 1950 to keep some Notre Dame players from breaking their teeth if they got hit and their teeth banged together. 73 years later, we're still using the same technology, and we think it's perfect, and we all hate it. Did you like your mouth guard when you played sports?
Pain in the butt.
Why? Because it was uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Mm-hmm.
Can't breathe, can't talk, especially a linebacker.
Loud. Yeah.
Right. And gravity pulls it down. So if you think about it, if you go to the store, buy a mouth guard, it's one thickness for every single person. You boil and bite it, so that's your control. If you think you should bite hard, you do, and make it thinner than you should. If you don't bite it, you might be too thick, or you may bite in a different way that's detrimental. You control it yourself. This is not what you want. What you want is your autonomic nervous system to put your jaw in its physiologic jaw position, and you do that by passively swallowing, and your muscles of the autonomic nervous system take over, put your jaw in your own personal, unique physiologic jaw position. And that's what protects you and helps you play better and be stronger, is your jaw being in that position. So being on the lower teeth, that's one huge difference in this technology. And most of all, thickness matters, and it's in your own personal physiologic jaw position. And if you do that, your son or daughter who goes out to play their sport will have a 99.8% chance of not being one of those 10,800 concussions today.
Those are some pretty good odds. I could win the lottery with those odds.
0.2% concussion rate. That's not zero, but that's awfully darn close.
I appreciate you saying that, because there's too much out there that says 100% guarantee, and there's not. It's just it just doesn't work that, except for death and taxes. We know those are 100% guaranteed. So let me ask you, go ahead.
My poster child is Daniel Sorensen. He played for the Chiefs, and some interesting things happened. He was not drafted. He was just invited to come play on the practice squad. And my brother knew him at college and gave him my mouth guard and said, "You should wear this." And he said, "Okay, I'll do it." And he got on the practice squad, and then he was just like killing it. I mean, they couldn't keep him off the field. And so finally they started putting him in special teams, and he was just awesome. And they put him in at safety, nickel situations, and he was just making tackles all over the place. And long story short, after about 3 years, he got a 4-year, $16 million contract and played free safety for the Chiefs, and went to 2 Super Bowls and never had a concussion in his NFL career. I think he still plays for the Saints now and still hasn't had a concussion. But if you remember back when the Chiefs played in the AFC Championship, they played the Browns, and they were up by a couple of points with about 2 minutes left in the game. And they threw a pass, and the receiver was running to the end zone. And right at the goal line, he came across and hit the receiver in his ear hole, and he fumbled out of bounds, and that was a touchback. And that put Kansas City in the Super Bowl. The guy who was carrying the ball had a concussion, and Daniel pops up and went back in the game.
Well, that's one heck of a story there.
Yeah,
I know Daniel Sorensen. I followed him because I liked the way he played, and he was very interesting. And he's using your mouth guard, so that's great data there, because that's the fear, the NFL, right, which is the hardest hitting league, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can play in the NFL free safety and not get a concussion in your career.
Yep.
I don't think that's possible with the latest technology. And let's face it, in the NFL, they don't have to wear a mouth guard. There's no rule, and it's left up to the player. And a lot of them don't, because they can't breathe and can't talk.
Yeah.
And they end up with concussions because they're not using their physiologic jaw position, and they're not protecting their brain. Right.
And I watched game this Sunday, and seeing guys, it's hanging out of their mouth, it's stuck in their ear hole of their helmet or in the top of their head. I'm like, and you're right, I think college you have to wear it. I'm not sure. I don't have the
college
answer.
There is a rule, right? But it's not enforced. If you watch this weekend, watch your favorite college game, a lot of times the quarterback won't have a mouth guard, but you'll see players out there where you can see their bottom teeth and their top teeth. They're not wearing one. It's the actual penalty is a loss of a timeout. But Cam Newton, for example, he played in the national championship, and he didn't wear a mouth guard. And I was sitting there watching, and I was like, I wish I had the coach's cell phone number, because I'd call him and say, "Hey, he's not wearing a mouth guard. You want an extra timeout, or you want them to lose one?
Yeah.
Tell the ref."
Yeah, no, and the fact that he was a running quarterback, this mouth guard had been huge, because he's going head on a lot himself, the way he plays.
Yeah.
This is incredible. More people need to know about this, but has this led to you losing faith in people?
Well, I guess you could put it that way. I oftentimes I'm just flabbergasted at why this isn't just like in every, as soon as you hear it, the only people who buy into this technology are mothers. Whenever I give a talk to a mother's group or a booster club or a team meeting where their moms are there, they line up and say, how can I get one of these? Because moms care about their kids. Athletes seem to not care about sports or concussions. They care about how well they play.
Yeah.
They want to start. They want to play. They don't care about. They don't say they don't care, but they just don't think about it. Coaches kind of say they care in most senses, but that's not a priority. They leave it up to the trainers. And so there's this just vicious circle that goes around that even when I first started this, there was all this pushback that mouthguards don't do anything for concussions. I once had a conversation with a know-it-all trainer, and he said, how many studies do you want me to give you that show mouthguards don't do anything for concussions? And I said, I know them all, and you are absolutely right, and you are absolutely wrong. And he goes, well, how am I wrong? And I go, because your concept of a mouthguard is on the top. One size fits all. Pacifier, you name it. They're all the same. So yeah, they don't do anything for concussions. They actually make you more susceptible to concussions. But if you take that and put it in your physiologic jaw position, it drops it down to 0.2%. So that's where you are wrong. Yeah. That's the biggest myth out there, that mouthguards don't help with concussions. That's the biggest myth. And I've proven it. Wayne State did the strength study. Michigan State College of Human Medicine did the concussion study. Another story, when we were doing strength with Wayne State, they tested 40 of their football players, and they ended up with the winningest record in the history of the school, ended up in the D2 national championship, and they had no concussions that whole season. UAB used it for 6 years and had no concussions. So the technology is a true principle. It's a true body mechanism. We just need to get over our historical tradition of a mouthguard.
I love this. We're coming to the end of the time of the show. What's the website? Because now people are going, I want to check this out. What's the website?
It's powerplusmouthguard.com. And if you put in the code PowerUp 2023, you'll get a 10% discount.
Well, there you go. That's awesome. So go ahead and do that. I want to thank you for being on, because you're serving an industry, sports, that really needs serving. What do you say, 50 years, the same mouthguard, and you've come in with something. I really appreciate you doing that, because I'm a big sports fan and played sports. And I want to thank you for sharing today with everything you know.
Well, thank you for having me. These podcasts are wonderful because I can reach a lot of people. And I can't emphasize enough, if your child plays sports, you must embrace this new technology. It will save their brains down to 0.2%, almost zero. And there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't do this. And I know that you want to. So go on and bring your son or daughter up to the latest technology in safety and performance.
So well said. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.